So, Tyler.
Shay.
Yes. Did you know that you were challenged to a trivia off by a fellow podcaster?
I think I challenged him. Correct.
Correct, but we haven't exactly followed through with said trivia off. But I figured to start this podcast, since this happened this past week, I would see how good you are at games.
Okay.
I was going to do trivia, but there's not a lot on this movie. For anybody who's listening, the movie we're doing is While You Were Sleeping. I thought there would be a lot of trivia on this movie, but there's not. So I wasn't able to do trivia. Okay? Sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to read to you 5 headlines of what comes up when you type in While You Were Sleeping in search. And you have to tell me which one is incorrect.
Okay.
There's only one.
I'm going to be terrible at this.
Why?
I just am.
Anyways, you're going to do it. Okay, you ready?
Sure.
Okay. So these are the 5. Squirrel displays questionable commuter etiquette. Air on an outgoing error for sale in Japan. Dog rescues owner from frozen pond. Driver shell-shocked for turtle flies into windshield. And why did the baby sea lion cross the road?
I am going to go with the second one.
The air on the...
Yes.
Nope, that is in fact a headline that will pop up if you type in While You Were Sleeping.
Okay, what is
Apparently they're selling air. I don't know. It's literally in a can. That's the photo.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Can't help you there.
So...
The answer was dog rescues owner from frozen pond is not a correct headline when you type in While You Were Sleeping.
I don't know how that helps us advance the podcast at all, but sure.
It's proving that you are not as good at games as you like to believe that you are.
I didn't challenge him to a game of games. I challenged him to a game of trivia.
Well, there's not a lot of trivia in this movie, so I'm working with what I got here.
All right. Well, anyway, I'm Tyler.
I'm Shay.
This is Cinematically Correct, and we're doing While You Were Sleeping.
Which was my pick.
Your pick.
I thought a lot of you would have seen this movie, which is one of the reasons I chose it, and also because when I first started this podcast, over a year ago, I was listening to So I Married a Movie Geek podcast, and they mentioned it, and we both realized we'd never seen it. So, yes. But apparently, a lot of you haven't seen it, according to Twitter. Y'all have been tweeting me saying, I haven't seen that movie. Why would I have seen that movie? I'm like, because it came out in 1995, and it was one of Sandra Bullock's largest grossing movies. But who am I to talk? I hadn't seen it, so I don't know.
Well, right. All right, brief synopsis, I guess.
Brief synopsis.
Okay, go for it.
Movie is about a woman who saves man from getting hit by a train. He's in a coma. She pretends to be his fiance, falls in love with his brother, and that's the movie.
Yes, basically. Essentially.
The entire movie, really. I mean, that's fairly accurate.
Mm-hmm.
And where do you want to go from there?
Well, do you want to start with the beginning of the movie, or do we want to talk about characters?
I think we can start with the beginning of the movie.
Okay.
So, when her boss is sucking up to her to get her to work on Christmas, I felt it was really shitty to say, well, you're single, everyone else has families. Now,
first of all, before I crap on the boss, is he the person who died in 1996?
I have no idea why.
So it was either him or the doctor, and I can't be sure, but whoever it is, it's the actor who was also in Liar Liar, and he died in 1996. So I just don't want to be horrible to somebody who literally died the next year. But that being said, he was a horrible boss for doing that. But I think a lot of bosses do that.
Well, he was a horrible boss in that respect, but he was also a very good boss in terms of being there to deal with her personal problems when he had really no obligation to care about her outside of work.
I got the impression he was her only friend.
Right, exactly. So, in that sense, he's a good boss, and she is just doing him a favor because he's hard up against it and doesn't have a choice. So I do get that. Still really not a nice thing to do. But, well, I have a family. Everyone else has a family.
Right. I mean, she didn't have a family to go to, but...
She still doesn't want to be at the office.
No, who does? Because that's just a reminder that you don't have a family to go home to. That's how depression happens.
But yeah, no, she lived a very boring, uneventful life up until she saved him.
Okay, so first thing we should talk about is that it was set in Chicago.
Chicago.
Now, I am so happy that I read this, but it was originally meant to be set in Brooklyn.
Okay.
Now, to me, that makes way more sense when you think of, I think his name was Johnny Jr., or was his name Johnny Jr.? Joe Jr. Joe Jr.
I mean...
He's much more Brooklyn than he is Chicago.
I mean, every major city has that guy.
Yeah, but that guy he was Brooklyn. He was Italian, Brooklyn, just Brooklyn.
That guy exists in every major city in this country. Every single one of them.
Maybe, but he existed because it was meant to be set in Brooklyn, and that's also how her job came about. The ticket booth person.
Okay.
They were thinking of the boringest job you could do in Brooklyn, and that's what they came up with.
The most boring
Yes.
job you can do in Brooklyn?
Are you correcting my grammar?
A little bit,
really?
yeah.
Like, come on,
All
guys.
right.
Blame Tyler for that pettiness.
So that's the most boring job in all of Brooklyn?
That's
I'm sure
just-
that can't be true.
That's just a job that
They have
came up
accountants
with.
in Brooklyn. They have other boring things.
Okay, mister, I work in the finance world.
It's not the same.
No, you're right. You don't make as much money as an accountant.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
I don't know where to go from there. But so it's supposed to be set in Brooklyn. She
Yeah.
saves a guy that really she fell in love with for no reason other than he's pretty.
Okay, so let's talk about her falling in love with a man that she's never met. So you have never in your life fallen in love with somebody that you have not met.
I don't think I would use the phrasing falling in love.
Would you have then, at the time of the infatuation?
I would say that I got a crush on a random stranger that I had never met. That sure, but they could be a Nazi. They could be a horrible person. We don't know.
Okay, first of all, I don't know what words she would have used then either. She was just strongly infatuated. And second of all, this whole thing got blown out of control not by her doing, but by everyone around her doing.
Well, it was a big game of miscommunication and telephone.
Yes, it was the worst version of telephone I have ever seen in my life.
But she would actually have been better off letting him get hit by the train.
Right. So, okay. So basically what happens is she saves him from an oncoming train because people push him onto the tracks, which do we know why he was pushed onto the tracks? Was he being robbed?
He was being mugged because he was well off and they were just trying to take his wallet.
Okay, because me being me, my first thought was he was dealing drugs or something and drug deal went wrong. And I'm like, nobody wants to talk about that? We don't want to discuss that?
No, he was wearing a suit and the ne'er-do-wells and the ruffians and the scallywags came up and...
Those are the words you decide to use, and you do not know why the listeners dislike you.
Oh, I know. I fully understand why. I do it anyway.
Wow. Pretentious.
So they throw him onto the tracks. He gets knocked unconscious. She saves him, and he goes to the hospital, and then she goes, that was the man I was going to marry. Nurse hears it.
Talking to herself.
Okay, but you're in public.
Oh, please. You haven't talked to yourself in public and then realized that people were around you? I know for a fact I've done it in parking lots many times because I talk to myself in the car when I'm driving, get out, still having a conversation, and I'm like, oh, there's people.
No, I totally have done that, but not saying that I'm going to marry some strange person I've never met.
I mean, I don't even know what I've said. I usually catch myself mid-sentence, and I don't know what's come out and what hasn't.
Now, my question is, I read in the notes that they wanted to switch, or the screenplay was originally set to have a woman be in the coma.
Uh-huh.
How would that be different? Because they thought it would be a little bit creepy.
They thought it would be too predatory.
Yes.
Yes. I don't know why you didn't want to use that word, but that is the word they used.
I just didn't want to say predatory.
Okay, well, that's what they thought,
So
yes.
what are your thoughts? Because I would tend to agree with that, honestly.
I mean, I do agree with that, but, I mean, this movie also heavily references Sleeping Beauty, which did have the female as the one in the coma and the male the one chasing.
Yes, but Sleeping Beauty is more about the fairy tale. The charming prince rescues the princess, not the charming prince lies, stays with the family, ingratiates themselves and sneaks in and then marries the sister.
But she didn't lie. She never lied.
She very
Every
much
person...
after the first interaction where there's an honest miscommunication, she did not correct anyone and she did not.
That's
get
not
out
true.
Of it. Yeah.
She corrected the nurse, and the nurse told her not to say anything. She corrected Sal, and Sal promised multiple times that he would correct the error, and he didn't.
Yeah, but at some point you just gotta have to own.
She was told not to because the grandmother would have had a heart attack.
I don't know. It's not the same. So if a guy had done that, it'd be very creepy because he's pushing himself into the family through otherwise less than honest means.
I guess. I mean, so I definitely think in this day and age, like now, 2019, it wouldn't fly if the man was the one doing it. Like, there's no way, like...
Well, he also winds up with a sister. People would not like that movie.
Right, no, that would be an uproar. But I don't know. Like, I think it was all in good fun and miscommunication and...
Well, I think it's only Sandra Bullock could pull that off.
Now, she wasn't that popular come this movie. The movie she had been in previous to this was Speed, but she still wasn't super well known. She actually considers this her breakout movie.
Well, I would say Speed has to be the breakout movie. I mean, how do you argue that when it was...
This is her 9th highest grossing film.
What's number one? Speed?
I didn't, look up the whole list. I'm just saying it's a pretty high grossing film. It made a ridiculous amount of money. It made $180 million where its budget was $17 million.
Yeah, it did very well. I'm not debating that. It was a tense movie and it did what it was supposed to do very well. But I don't know if I would consider it her breakout movie. Everyone knows her from Speed.
I've never seen Speed.
Oh my God. It's added to the list.
I'm just saying. I mean, maybe I saw it when I was a little kid. I don't remember anything about it if I have.
I was thinking to myself, one of the lines from Speed that she says, which is, relationships formed in extreme circumstances never last. Mm-hmm. Specifically because the guy's in a coma and she saved him and it's a whole extreme circumstances and she falls for the brother. So by her own logic in the other movie, it wouldn't have worked.
So we've already spoiled a billion parts of this movie. So, I mean, if you're listening to this, you know that we
The movie came
spoilers.
out in the 1990s.
I'm just saying, people get upset about spoilers.
No. Spoilers. You had a decade.
Okay.
You had 20 years.
So, anyways, can we talk about the characters for a moment?
Sure.
Okay, so Lucy was played by Sandra Bullock.
Yes.
It was originally written to be played by Demi Moore.
And then a cast of other characters were offered the part before.
Well, right, but Demi Moore was the only one that was in negotiations and couldn't come to a deal. But do you feel that the movie would have been better or worse with Demi Moore?
Worse.
You do?
Yes. I don't think she has the... She doesn't have the same girl next door, everyday girl kind of vibe.
I agree with that. I genuinely don't know that I've seen a Demi Moore movie. I don't know. I probably have, but I can't think of one.
She's the bad guy in Charlie's Angels 2, I believe. With the newer one with
Drew Barrymore?
And Lucy Liu and...
Oh, I've seen those. Okay, then I have seen a Demi Moore movie.
Yeah, she's the bad guy.
Okay. Well, I can't think of a movie where she's like the main character at the moment.
She's been in a lot of movies.
I'm sure she has.
Ghost,
and I recognized her face.
The whole pottery thing.
I've never seen that. I've seen the scene, because people play it with Patrick Swayze. But no, never seen the movie. Don't want to either. Anyway, moving on.
I definitely think that Sandra Bullock was the right choice.
The other person I wanted to bring up, Matthew McConaughey, auditioned for the role of Jack, but was turned down because he was an unknown and because he had a Texas accent.
I mean, he's an interesting choice for that. I do like Bill Pullman in this.
I actually do think I would have preferred Matthew McConaughey now that I think about it. Well,
he does have that charming, good-natured, laid-back kind of vibe.
He really does.
He's got that smile. He's got it nailed.
We have not done a Matthew McConaughey movie, I do not believe.
I don't think so. But, I mean, that is a way better choice casting-wise than Demi Moore.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't have a problem with Bill Pullman in this at all.
I don't either. But if I had the choice between the two now, I think I would choose Matthew McConaughey.
I mean, the brother was kind of one-dimensional in a coma because he spends the most of the movie in a coma. That's not his fault. But after he wakes up, I didn't really think that it was done very well. But maybe that's the point because he's not supposed to be likable.
It's possible. I mean, he did say that he pretended to save like a squirrel or something, but he actually knocked
threw
him
rocks out of the tree.
Yeah.
Threw rocks at them, and then they rescued them after they were already injured because he threw rocks at them.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
I had a question.
Okay.
So I saw another person that was rumored to have been considered for Jack.
Okay.
James Spader.
James Space. Oh, from Secretary.
Secretary, Blacklist, all of those other things. I really don't think that would have been a good fit at all.
I mean, okay, I'm going to say I love James Spader from what I've seen him in. I do. I do love him. But I get a creepy, more...
He's not the good-natured, agreeable, laid-back boy next door guy. He's just not.
He has much more of a creepy vibe, and honestly, he'd be the predator in this movie.
He's the guy
he could play the guy. If it was the girl in the coma, he could be the guy, and it would then become like that movie.
Very creepy.
Like the was it Reese Witherspoon movie where they're on the Ferris wheel? I think it's like Fright or something like that.
I don't think I've seen
it. A really creepy movie, but he would be perfect. Wonderful.
It would be like Kathy Bates in Misery. Really creepy.
Yeah, you've never seen it. I don't know why you're saying that.
All right.
I'm just outing you. I just needed to do that. There you go.
All right. So I think that they did a very good job in casting for the most part. Saul was brilliant.
I loved him. I looked him up. I've never seen him in another movie. I thought I had because he is, first of all, he was a handsome man. Handsome man. He died in, I think, 2006, if I read correctly. But I wanted to see if I'd seen him in something else because he looked really familiar, younger, but I haven't. But sweet man. Loved him.
His playing of the, I'm going to tell them, and then walking the other direction in the hospital, brilliant.
It's such a pain in the butt. I was so angry with him. I'm like, stop doing that.
All right, so we talked about the characters. What else do we have to talk about?
Well, I mean, we do have to talk about the line that you knew I was going to bring up. We have to bring it up.
Which line?
I like chubby blondes.
Oh, God.
Do we want to talk about it?
We don't want to talk about it at all.
I feel like we do. So, the brother was at a dinner, and
he had to come up with a type that's not his type
because they were talking about
finding a
girl for him and asking Lucy. I was gonna say Sandy. Same thing, I guess. If she knew anyone for him, and she said, "I don't know his type," and he said, "I like chubby blondes," which obviously, if you guys have seen the movie or know who Sandra Bullock is, she is neither chubby nor blonde. But we have to talk about it because Mr. Tyler over here, for 7 years of our life, told me multiple times that I was...
Stop it. Yes, I said that you were not my type. For a long time because we were friends first.
Yeah. Your mistake, however, was when you did describe your type, you described me. So,
God, yeah, you have to let this go at some point, right? Like that's a thing.
Have you met women? I don't think we do that.
Kill me.
Yeah.
Just end it now.
I mean, I just felt like I related so much to Sandra Bullock's character in that moment. It really drew me to the movie and made me feel for her. You know?
I mean, I was immediately struck by a different line in the movie.
Oh, okay, go for it.
I want all my stuff back. Fine, then I want all my stuff back. What stuff? Your nose.
And why were you immediately struck by that?
It was so great. Well played.
Oh,
just
because you relate to that line?
I don't relate. I just enjoyed that line thoroughly because it was fantastic. It was.
I was wondering if you thought you bought like a body part for me or something. I'm just wondering.
From you? No.
For me, not from me. What are you gonna do? Buy my liver? What are you doing here?
Well, exactly.
What? No. Anyways, did you know that this film was inspired by a inside joke?
No, I did not.
Yeah, so apparently Fred had said something to the effect of he wouldn't even be able to meet a girl if she was in a coma. And they thought it was so funny that they made it into a
no, who's Fred?
movie. I think it was like Fred and Dan who wrote this movie.
Okay.
The writers. The director, however, was John Turteltaub. And this was a not typical movie that he wrote, but another movie that he directed, was Cool Runnings, which just got recommended to us recently after we did a John Candy movie.
Yes, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Yeah, so I haven't seen it, but
I still can't believe that you've never seen it.
It stuck out to me as...
It's added to the list.
Darling, we won't live long enough to get through the list that we have.
We're going to have to start doing 2 podcasts a week.
We have a hard enough time doing one.
It's sacrifice, darling. Sacrifice.
Anyways, so, I mean, I don't have a lot to talk about when it comes to this movie, but I did want to ask you, do you think she made the right choice between Bill Pullman and I don't even know the guy's name, but I just know he was the father in the OC.
Yeah, they totally the right choice. Rich, superficial jackass, down to earth, guy you could go grab a beer with, chill. Yeah.
What about Joe Jr.? You didn't even add him in. I mean, he was vying for the title.
No, he was not ever vying for the title. There was no point in this movie where the creepy guy that was her landlord's son that tried on her shoes in her closet and asked about her panties was ever considered.
Well, I mean, you never know.
No.
Anyways, do you have a history minute?
I do have a history minute.
Ooh, I'm excited.
Tyler's History Minute.
So when they're having dinner, they're talking about all the different things, and then Argentina is brought up, and then the father says, Argentina, they're known for Nazis and beef, which I found amusing because it's true.
Oh boy. Don't tell me it's going to be another weak one, because you got called weak sauce last week for your history minute.
So, history minute this week, after the Nazis lost World War II, there were a lot of very angry people.
Really?
A little bit of people, or a few people were pissed off.
Wow.
So the Nazis had to go into hiding because they were not popular. And
really?
The majority of them went to Argentina. There was a bunch of them that were captured there well after the war, living secret lives.
Oh, interesting.
Adolf Eichmann, Joseph Mengele.
Didn't you say meat in Argentina or something?
No, beef.
What did beef have to do with anything?
Well, that's the other thing they're known for. They're like the second or third biggest beef producing country in the world.
Oh.
It's all those like Argentinian steakhouses where they have all the steak on skewers and they go around cutting off things, and it's wonderful.
I don't know, but it sounds fantastic.
Oh, it's great.
I mean, I just had a weird mixing of the two in my head, and that was just weird. And
Not
sorry
Nazi, Nazi steak. No, that's weird.
It's just...
But yeah, it's just that's the only thing I got for the history minute, because there's not a whole lot of history other than the Cubs and the Red Sox both went a very long time without winning a World Series.
But you know what? You did a good job. I'm proud of you. I don't consider that weak sauce.
Well, thank you. Even though you're patronizing me.
I am not.
Yeah.
Anyways, we do need to do audience asks. But before we do that, I did want to put in a promo because it's been a few weeks since we've put in a promo.
We've been terrible about that, but people have not been sending them to us. So
right. So this is actually I believe, newer promo for Super Movie Bros. I'm never gonna get to say it right. But anyways, this is the promo for their podcast.
Hey, Jay, we got to do a promo for Super Movie Brothers because what the promo that we had was so old, it's time to do a little bit of an update. So we got to tell everybody what this show's about so they can decide whether they want to listen to it or not.
Do you really?
Yeah, we have to.
All right.
It plays on the Podfix Network on other shows, and, you know, we
like those guys.
We do like those guys.
Yeah.
So, the old promo sounds like shit, so let's give them a
I still
one.
like it.
Super Movie Brothers is a podcast that is about two guys who just love movies, but unfortunately we have two completely varying points of view.
We do.
Varying tastes on movies. So we like to discuss film from two completely different points of view, but we also drink beer, have a lot of fun doing it, and then we also assign each other movie homework assignments. Each of those assignments is from each of our wheelhouse. So Jay is more of the art house indie type guy.
Yes.
Meanwhile, I am more of the action cult film horror type genre. But there are times where we do agree on things and times where we really don't. So it's a lot it's a lot of fun to listen to. Make sure that you're checking it out. We are available on iTunes, Stitcher, Podbean, and also on Spotify. Make sure you search Super Movie Bros on any one of those. And of course, we are part of the Podfix Network. So make sure you're going over to www.podfixnetwork.com and checking it out.
Cheers.
Anyway, so if you guys haven't listened to them or checked them out, please do. You can also find them on Twitter at Super Movie Bros. Yeah, but I enjoy them.
Play on Super Mario Bros.
Yeah, that's why I say it wrong all the time. Like even when I'm typing it to tweet to them, I type it wrong.
Super Mario?
Yeah. So these are the things. So
Audience asks.
Tasteless podcast, we already kind of answered this, but I'm just going to let you know that they said it. But they said, how could anyone pick Bill Pullman over Eyebrows McConaughey? So we kind of went over this.
I mean, to be fair, Bill Pullman has one of the best fake president speeches of all time on his resume. So
No, was that before or after this movie?
I don't know, honestly.
I feel like after.
Was it after? Because Independence Day was an early movie, so I don't know if it was before or after. But
we did it, and we don't remember. Great, good. But of the two, who was more attractive? I still say Bill Pullman.
Attractive? No, I don't have any frame of reference. I would, based off of the majority of women's opinions, I'd say Matthew McConaughey.
Well, Matthew McConaughey, but he's not one of the choices.
What? Who was the choices?
It was the guy in the coma or Bill Pullman.
Oh, I thought you were talking about recasting. No, no. Okay. Well,
I totally agree with that, though. Out of all choices, Matthew McConaughey.
No, I think Bill Pullman.
When in doubt, pick Matthew McConaughey.
No, I thought they were talking about recasting the brother. No. I totally misunderstood that.
I love it, though.
Great.
Because I totally pick him the whole time, so that's fine. Anyway.
That's why I was so surprised. I was like, really?
So, Movie Geek and Proud says, I can't help but wonder, is Lucy a pathological liar, obsessive and terrible person to be rooting for happiness?
I mean, no. Should she probably have spoken up and cleared the air well before? Yes. But at the same time, only Sandra Bullock could go to the wedding, say, I'm not marrying your son that was just in a coma, and still have them like her. That there's no other person in the world that could pull that off.
I'm sure there is. There's probably that like one girl that we're not thinking of. The girl who
yes, that
Jack Shepard's wife.
It's Kristen
Kristen Bell. Thank you. She could pull it off. She could.
I think Sandra Bullock does it better though.
I mean, I don't know, but I'm just saying.
I think she's probably the best in the world at that. And just being sympathetic.
She's really good at it. She
yes.
is. Although I have to say, nowadays, it doesn't seem like a lot of people even like her.
I don't know.
I mean, we saw a lot of backlash after Bird Box.
I don't understand that. It was enjoyable.
I don't know either. Anyway, but I don't think she was a pathological liar. She didn't actually lie. So,
I mean, if you count lie by omission, because she didn't actually step in and say, "Oh, no, this is a terrible misunderstanding."
Coming from Tyler, we're talking about lying by omission. That counts as lies. Do we want to put that on the record for future reference, or I'm just wondering. It's curious.
I mean, she did also save his life, so she had every right to be invested to see if he survived.
That's fair.
And go to the hospital and check on him. I think the whole fiance thing was blown out of proportion, but she was an involved party, so she does have the right to go check on him and see how he's doing.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I think the family would have adopted her anyway because she saved his life.
I agree with that 100%. But anyways, so we are actually going to do a podcast in 30 minutes. I'm so proud of us.
Victory.
Yes. So, ratings.
Reviews.
I'm going to say an 8.
An 8? Really?
Yes.
Do you have a reason, or is this, as usual, you just have a number?
No, just an arbitrary number, really.
Okay, well, I was going to give it a 9.
Okay.
I, first of all, love rom-coms. So
yes, you do.
I love Sandra Bullock. Now, if Matthew McConaughey was in it, 10 out of 10. But, yeah, the only thing that I really didn't enjoy about the movie was the coma guy's character. I just felt it was really, really flat, and I wish that we had gotten to know him a little bit before he went into the coma to kind of, like, know, like, you know, kind of see, like, what the chemistry was, if there was any, because, you know, sometimes you don't know like someone, you still have chemistry.
Some introduction beforehand where you understand that he's a bad person, and then when he goes into the coma, you're rooting against him.
Right.
Like, that would have been more meaningful to me. Like, oh, no, she can't wind up with him. He's a monster.
Right. I just wish I had something else to go on, because really all I was going on was what she was saying, and that kind of made it confusing when I was then rooting for the brother, because I'm like, wait, but don't I want her with the other guy? Like, I don't know what's going on. So that was it. That was the only reason it knocked it down for 9.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Rotten Tomatoes has it at an 80, and then the audience score is 79.
Well, y'all need to pull up your scores. Just saying.
No. So I think that's it. That
is it. But next week is your choice.
Oh, we're doing Annihilation, Natalie Portman.
And it is a audience choice.
It's also an audience choice, recommended by, you said, Alani?
Yep, and it was after the Jackie movie, because we were looking for Natalie Portman movies, and that was her suggestion.
Yeah, well, there we go.
Right. So I'm looking forward to next week, but I do want to say if you want to find us on Twitter or Facebook, we're Cinematically Correct's listener group on Facebook. We're literally never there, so I don't recommend going there.
Tweet
at Cinematically C. I'm there almost every day, so you will find me there.
Instagram
at Cinematically C. You can email us cinematicallycorrect@gmail.com. And thank you to Jake at Athos Music for our intro and outro music, and we'll be back next week with Annihilation.